Hey guys, it's time for the very last part of our 1 point perspective landscape we've been working on. So, when I left you last, I was in the process of sharpieing all of my lines, of erasing anything that was not an intentional line. So, places where I'd practiced, places where I'd shaded in a little bit. Now, what I've gone and done is I've added these areas of crayon. Now, because crayon has wax, it will resist the watercolor anywhere it is. That means it won't let the watercolor sit on top of it. Instead, it'll kind of split around it. So I watercolored things that I thought might be very difficult to get with the paint. So, for example, the tiny flowers, the lines in the tumbleweed, those signs back there. I also colored the moon in with white because I didn't want anything to happen to it. So, crayon detail is for things that are too small to successfully get with the watercolor, things that you think are very likely to go together since it's very detailed, or places where you want to add texture or some increased color spectrum for what you're doing. So, this is what it started out as. And then when I painted it, here's where I ended. So, you'll notice my moon stayed white, didn't it? That's because it had the wax on there, or my line stayed yellow. I also can still see where I've got specks for my sand, as well as my gentle shading on some of my cactuses. Let's see what it looks like in the process of doing it. So I have this landscape, and I've been working on this one, trying to get it together. So I've got some white and some blue up in the clouds, a little bit of color in the sun to make it a little bit rounder and richer. I put the little tiny trees all in crayon because they feel like they're so small. I don't know if I could get them with my watercolor brush. Oop, I did miss one right here. And the other thing that I've done is I've come in and I'm going to add some texture for my grass. Now we know that when something is close, we see more detail and we see it larger. Whereas when something gets further away, we see less detail and we do not get that same idea of how much of it there is. It feels further and more removed from us. So you'll notice I'm putting lots of grass texture up in the front. And then as it goes towards the back, I see less. So it'll become more of a smooth green carpet. Whereas in front, you'd see some of the different blades. You'd see that texture. I also wanted to put a little bit of texture on my road because I'm kind of doing this as a gravelly, sort of rocky path, not a totally paved road, but something with a little bit more character. And you notice that once again, it gets thinner and less dense as it moves backwards. All right, so let's see what the watercoloring this looks like.